What up, chat? We're about to get it in another minute and so. So, thank you for spending some time today on your Sunday hanging out with us. Coming in a couple of seconds. We got a dope show for you. Get ready. Let's get a podcast in, right, baby?
Spawn On Me is the premier podcast spotlighting people of color. Every week, we talk news, what we've been playing, and tell you who's invited to the cookout. Our show is all about talking about gaming through a prism of blackness, because we are the culture. Welcome to Chicago, y'all.
Yo, what up, everybody? This is the Spawn On Me podcast with Khalif Adams. I'm your host, Khalif Adams, rocking to you here from Central Chicago, reporting in with all the goodness that you need in your life, making it happen, making it rock for everybody here on the show. Episode 520 is going in full effect. You can see us live on X, twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe, youtube.com/SpawnOnMe as well if you want to see more of the goodness coming to you from our show. Massive love to all the folks in the chat right now, all the folks watching us on Twitter, all the folks hanging out in the chat. We got fam Walt Chambers up in there. We see him. We said his whole government. We said it. Silent Ninja. We got Arctic. We got Panda. We got a whole bunch of other dope folks in the space coming and hanging out with us for our episode today. If you missed our last couple of episodes, you missed two really fantastic pieces of content. We had the team, we had the whole crew from Star Wars Outlaws on the podcast feed alongside Julian Garrity, creative director on Star Wars Outlaws as well. So some content that we got from San Diego Comic-Con coming through and hanging out on the feeds, rocking for all of you at home. If you are new to the show and you are watching us for the first time, welcome to Chicago and welcome to our show. We are the premier podcast spotlighting people of color in the video game industry. We've been doing this for over a decade now, and it just continues to get stronger. It gets better and it gets more dope out here in this piece. For this episode, we have a couple of really cool things to share with you all for sure. We're going to talk a little politics on the show. Did you hear that correctly? Did you hear me say politics and games being mashed together to give you some great dialogue and conversation pieces for the rest of your week? Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about the Adin Ross platforming of Donald Trump on his channel over on Kick earlier this week. Oh, I'm sorry, late last week. We're going to talk a little bit about some sad news around Game Informer folding, and What's Good Games is also closing, one of the premier podcasts in the video game space. But we have a really good interview to pop in for all of you with our friend Ariel Knight. Neil Jones from We Never Yield sat down with me to talk about his latest game and to talk about all the goodies that come along with any development in that space. So we're going to kick off the show with our interview with him. It's about 30 minutes or so. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab something to hang on to, grab someone to hang on to, and you can talk about all the goodness that is going to come out of our Never Yield conversation. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about some news. And then after that, we're going to dig into a little bit of a conversation and give some flowers where due. So until then, check out this dope interview with our friend Ariel Knight, Neil Jones from We Never Yield. And we'll be right back after that. What's good, everybody? We are here with another dope interview, and I am very excited to talk to somebody who I've known for a goddamn long time at this point.
Super long.
Super long. Started from the middle, and now we are here in all the wonderful places. Neil Jones from Ariel Knight's We Never Yield. You might have remembered his first game, Never Yield, which was a classic and a banger. And I think a lot of folks were really looking forward to your sequel. And now it is here. Fam, how are you doing? How you been? How's things?
I'm cool now that, this stuff is out and people have played it and, we're good. I feel like I'm free. I feel like I can talk about stuff now. In interviews before the game came out, I'm like, I don't know what I can say. I don't want to spoil stuff. I don't want to, put too much out there. But now I don't care. I can say whatever I want.
I'm sure that's really nice to be able to have the, have the ability to kind of speak freely about the development process, which is always, a fun and interesting ride for folks I know who have been doing this for a long time. But it feels like now, like when we first started to have these conversations, you were still kind of up and coming and getting your feet wet with the first game, and now you're like a vet of the space. It feels like it's been a short amount of time, but I feel like I see you everywhere when it comes to not only having your games being promoted and the stuff you're doing, but like when folks are like, oh, we want a really dope developer to come on and talk about their experiences as a solo dev, you are one of the people who kind of always comes up to the forefront. How has that felt to kind of now have your development chops in there and feel like, I got this. I know exactly what I need to do to make this happen at this point.
Well, I was going to ask you, what does it look like from the outside? But you kind of broke it down for me already. Yeah. But no, still very much trying to figure it out because like me and most other indie devs, we have no clue what we're doing. We're just kind of winging it and hoping that people play. But yeah, from my perspective, I'm just just trying to make the best game I can make with the options I have in front of me. I had just like a few more options, and it was like just a little bit, I don't even want to say easier. It was just like a bunch of different challenges this time around. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, but we still got through it because this game was going to come out no matter what, Yeah.
I mean, you definitely will knock down the door where you're like, yo, I got an obstacle in front. It's like the game in a lot of different areas, right? Like pushing through obstacles. I want to, for the folks who have not played the game yet, give them a little bit of a synopsis of what the latest Never Yield. I'm going to say the Never Yield universe right now. I don't know if that's where we're going, but tell the folks at home about the latest game and what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, for people who've beaten the game already, I guess it is kind of universe now, but I guess you got to play to find out. But what's going on is at the end of the first game, the two like main enemies, the people going at it, there was an after credits scene where they like appeared in this magical kingdom and they had an enemy in front of them, and it was like, we never yield. So I couldn't like kind of make that promise and then never follow up on it. So in this game, you play as both characters at the exact same time. That's how we kind of mix up the mechanic, is that instead of playing as one character, you have one controller where you control both of these characters. We have a co-op mode where you can share the controller with a friend and control both of them. Split the challenges between you two. But my favorite way to play is like one person taking on this game with both of these characters with one controller. I think it feels really good. It's a real different mechanic from other games, and it like kind of spices it up. We have all new soundtrack, completely original, done again with me and my friend Dan May Senpai. It's out on Spotify if you want to check out the soundtrack, if that's your thing. But we just added a ton new stuff. Most of the reviews talk about how this is like how you do sequels. You kind of like take what you have already and just like double down on it. And we added more outfits, more challenge levels, more story. We have like voice actors now. And the story is a lot better now. uh, and we kind of like pull in and like finish telling the story and do a like good recap of what was going on in the first game, and kind of just like address everything and try to answer questions in this game.
I love the synergy between the two games, right? It feels like there are some, not only just like from a mechanics perspective, there's a lot of familiarity for folks who played the first game, but it also feels like from a story perspective, like you talked about, it is a continuation of that kind of end of credit scene.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. See, the bat phone is already calling. They already got people coming through to be like, "Yo, we need a third game already." But that synergy of having that story also continue with it then growing and that also kind of connecting to the most recent way you're working with the input structure for the game, that feels really refreshing. I think that's been really fun for me too, because it feels like that kind of, the best way to describe it is like the patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time kind of deal. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it feels really cool to be able to, like have that back and forth between the kind of forefront and back and the kind of background characters both being on screen. How hard was it to get that mechanic down? Because it feels like it's seamless when you're playing it. And when you finally kind of get the understanding of like, okay, I need to time this here and use these buttons for this. But like even in concept, it feels like that's not an easy thing to pull off as a programmer in that way. What was the process for you kind of iterating on the game and finding that this is where you wanted to land with this game's mechanics?
Yeah, the mechanic itself wasn't hard to do. It's more about like the ramp, because people understanding it was a hard way to kind of go about it, because it's fun watching people play it and they're just sit there like, this is really hard and I don't get it, and then they just get it, and then they're like, oh, I got it, and then they can just burn through the rest of the game. So that's my favorite part of watching people play. And then sometimes I'll drop a hint and say, hey, this half of the controller is for that character and this half of the controller is for that character. So this hand is Wally, this hand is Lone. And they're like, oh, I got it. And then they play it and they're like, oh, this feels real different. I never played anything like it before. But other than that, it's the level design. You have to kind of ramp people in slowly, because it gets a little crazy towards the end. But I want everybody to be able to play it, from like kids to like people like us who've been playing games for a while now. And it's really cool to kind of like see that come to fruition and see people play it and kind of recognize like the level design play the heavy part inside of like getting people to kind of understand what's going on. I added a tutorial level in the last like kind of few weeks of the game. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a tutorial, and then half the team was split. They was like, we don't need a tutorial, we tell everybody the buttons in the first level. And I was like, yeah, but what if we made one anyway?
Yeah.
So we made the tutorial and it was really helpful. It was players' favorite thing. And then I was like, let's throw some like voice lines in the tutorial. So like Lone is just kind of shouting at you, hit this button. And it just helped kids so much, because, it's too much reading in some games. Some games, you don't want to read. You want somebody telling you what to hit. You want somebody telling you what to do. So it played out really, really smoothly. I enjoyed it.
I'm happy that you did, because I was one of those players at first when I first jumped on it, and I was like, I'm trying to understand the like dual hand kind of thing. I mean, you're doing it all with one controller if you're playing by yourself, but it does feel like you're splitting these inputs in a really interesting way. And then you're totally right. Like I love to hear you talk about that aha moment, because that's when it all kind of gelled for me too, was to be like, oh, I'm trying to get that person to do this thing and this person to do this thing both at the same times. And your hands, it's that you're not used to doing that. You know what I mean? You're so used to, being on the central character and kind of doing that as that thing.
The position of the players was like a big hassle, like that camera angle and making sure you could see the background character and the foreground character and kind of understand like what was going on with both. So like that took pretty much the longest to kind of figure out that specific angle. I had a question for you though. Yeah. We made the decision not to force people into the tutorial, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to, people who knew what they were doing or wanted to kind of take a swing at just going straight into the game. I didn't want to deny them that. Yeah. But also my main feedback for everybody is like, play the tutorial. So I was like a little bit conflicted. So for my next thing, I don't know if I should force people into playing the tutorial, because I did it with the first game. The tutorial was part of the, progression.
Yeah.
So I kind of, like to hear what people think about the tutorial kind of subject. If you force people, or you just kind of leave it as an option.
I've always been a fan of teaching people how to do stuff first, right? I think the hard thing is when you get that frustration level where you are thinking about one thing and thinking about executing on whatever that may be, whatever game mechanic may be, whatever systems you're kind of implementing in the game and those kinds of things without explaining how they all kind of gel together and how they all kind of coalesce around what you're trying to do. I'm always a big fan of putting a thing that you have to kind of go through first without making it super long, right? Like we can give them something that tells them, all right, here's exactly what you need to do. Here's an example of what this is across those things. Or like give it to them all in one chunk at the beginning. Or like I like what you've done in this game where you're tutorializing while you're playing too, right? You're like, all right, so here's a new thing that you're going to encounter. Let me tell you what this thing is and that you can have an understanding of what's coming up next. I think the way you nailed it, whatever the compromises you and the team made about like where to put it and how to put it, and I think it works really well for a game like this. Because I can't front. There were parts where I was like, I don't know what I just did wrong, and I died. And I was like, oh, I remember now what you were trying to tell me. But my impatient ass was like, let me try to run through some stuff and not do it yet. Because once you're a veteran player, you've been playing for so long. Most of us kind of bypass a lot of the tutorialization stuff, right? Like we're like, I kind of understand what this game is trying to tell me and do that stuff. But it was nice to be able to be like, oh, this was a thing that you actually showed me. It was actually my fault for not doing the reading and paying attention in the ways that I needed to. So I'm a huge fan of tutorials. I think it's necessary. I think it adds to the gameplay in a lot of different ways. And I as a developer, here's a question for you. When you do see people struggle through the process of learning whatever you're trying to teach them, do you at some point go back and you say, well, the game is already out or the game is pretty much baked. We don't need to kind of go back and fix those things for the player. Or is it a thing where you're like, oh, we're seeing through playtesting and stuff that a lot of folks aren't getting this jump or this mechanic. We need to go back to the drawing board and refine some of the stuff that we want to do to make sure that players are having a good time when they jump into the game.
Yeah, with indie development, playtesting is real interesting because you don't have much time to playtest and your sample size is really small, right? So sometimes this is like people's opinions, but it's not like the masses' opinions. So I think I think anybody who's kind of been following the game knows that in like the first week, I got a bunch of feedback and we kind of pushed patches immediately because we were like, oh, okay, people don't like that. People do like that. People are getting stuck here. And we just kind of like fixed it in like the first day or so. So I would say from like gamers kind of perspective, like the first like 2 weeks of a game matters the most. If you got complaints, if you want to like be heard, that's when you kind of play a game, leave that feedback, leave those notes, respectfully, of course. And then, we'll, like the developers are on it. They're trying to like do the best they can to get those updates out. But for the most part, it really depends on how many people are running into the issue. Like if one or two people just don't like something, it's not worth going in to change for like the thousands of people who don't really care.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like a case by case thing and like how often it appears,
Yeah. I mean, that's fascinating because I don't think about the like feedback loop for teams that are, solo teams or really small teams. Like, how are you getting that stuff? I'm sure there's different mechanisms for some of those things of like, especially if you're playing on PC, like Steam will give you a lot of stuff. Really?
No, I'm just on Twitch. I just watch people play on Twitch, right?
Huh.
So my favorite thing is to be on Twitch and people run into issues. And I'm like, did you play the tutorial? And they're like, nope. And I'm like, womp womp. I'm like, that's why you're having a hard time. I don't know what to tell you. But then we also catch people running into like big bugs on Twitch, like especially the first day. And I know people, you're gonna say, yo, you should catch that before you launch. I'm like, you can't
There's no way.
Predict a lot of that stuff, and a lot of times people run into issues that I don't see. Like they'll run into a bug that I'll like open up Unity and like play that level and like try it like 100 times. I cannot recreate that bug.
Yeah.
So I have to make a fix that for a problem that I can't see, so I have to guess what's going on and try to make a patch for something that I haven't experienced. Right. And then hope that it works and hope that it doesn't break something else.
That's fascinating, because I've heard that a lot, right? When folks are, getting a game out, and the overarching narrative and overarching sentiment that I hear from developers all the time is like, we can do everything to QA a thing, but as soon as it's in the player's hands, it's the Wild West, and you can't predict any of the stuff that happens. But to hear you talk about the like layer of, I can't even recreate the bug, and have to try to find a fix for it. That sounds maddening in a way that's like would drive me crazy.
Some bugs only happen on certain platforms. So like Xbox had this weird thing where it only happened on Xbox. It only happened on this certain situation. We couldn't recreate it. So we just was like, maybe this will fix it. We try to go to the core of the problem, and no one complained about it afterwards. So we were like, I guess it's fixed.
That's wild. I mean, I
think it was like Wally's head was disappearing or something like that. And you're like, what?
How does that happen? Why did that do it? But that leads directly into a question that I've been dying to ask you. Is like, so Never Yield came out in 21, I believe.
Yeah.
And now in 24, you have your second game in the mix. Bouncing off of the first game. What have been some of the biggest learnings from that? Because the thing that I love about you has been, I've gotten a chance to also see you grow as a developer. And I mean, not just in the ways that your games perform and that the kind of polish for the games you've made have changed and gotten better, but like, I remember you as a cat who was like a little bit shy on camera, like even all of those pieces have changed in the ways that I view you and the work that you do. Of like, there's a confidence there that is really dope to be able to see as well, and all those learnings. What have been some of the biggest learnings for you across the levels of like getting a game out the first time and now getting a game out the second time?
I think, and I appreciate it. I've been watching you grow too. Look at you. You got the whole logo. You got the background. I seen you do the panel at Comic-Cons. Yeah, we're here now.
Word.
But I think the biggest thing for any developers is like your first game is like being bullied really aggressively, right?
Yeah.
And like launching a game is really depressing. So a lot of people don't understand what launching a game is like. You say, oh, you should be happy after you launch a game, but it's very much like, you spent 3-4 years working on this one thing. This is your life. This is all you know. It's like high school though. Like, that high school depression, like after graduations, you're not going to see your friends again. Your life is changing. Right. Yeah. That's what like putting out a games, like that part of your life is done. It's out there. It doesn't belong to you anymore, and other people are going to judge it. Right. So you're really nervous and you don't know what to say. You don't want to say the wrong things. But for me, it was so rough that I kind of just didn't care anymore. Right. And like a lot of people know, I quit after my first game came out. It did well. And it was like, a lot of people gave me like a lot of praise and it was nice. And then like a lot of hate came from it too, because, it was like all black game and all that stuff. But I kind of just like gave up. I was like, I'm done with this, but it's, I like it. It's all I want to do, and all I think I'm really good at it. So I came back to it. Really wanted to kind of like finish this story because I left it on the cliffhanger. The first game didn't have any dialogue or audio, and I was trying to tell the story through just like kind of movements and stuff like that. But it was like always stuck in my head to like do the thing, like upgrade it, finish it, and I was like, if I ever got to just do it, it would be great. And I made a pitch to my publisher and said, hey, this is what I want to do. They was like, dope, go do it. We believe in you right now. And people, hey, whatever.
Hey,
so,
it's like that for real.
It is what it is. The game came out. Look,
right.
So yeah, we made the pitch. Got a little bit of funding. Hired a beta adjuster from London to kind of help me. The first game was too much for me. This one, they handle all the functionality, so I can just focus on art and sound and like reaching out to people to get help with certain things, like the voiceovers and whatnot. And I think it's a big benefit. I think it's a testament to here's what I did by myself. Here's what I did with a team. Next game, look what I can do with a team and some money. To see what the outcome will be. But it's all dependent on people supporting it. If people didn't support the first game, this game wouldn't exist. If people don't support this game, my next game won't exist.
Yeah, I mean, and I love hearing you talk about it that way, because I don't think a lot of people understand the emotional toll that goes along with being a developer with a dream, right? Like you're trying to see a thing that you've had in your brain for a very long time and work through the process of making that thing real. And all of it is based on hope, right? It's like, at the end of the day, you're like, I hope someone likes this thing, and hope someone really wants to play it. And I got to give you props. You said, I think I got better, and I think people are like, no, you got a lot better. Like the game is great. Like your work is really, really good. I think the thing that I again love about where you've landed, not only just in the first game but this game, is like this one even feels different from not only just a thematic perspective, but from the way even in that first game there was like a kind of hip hop jazzy vibe with the soundtrack, and this has changed a little bit in this version. Now you have, like you said, more voiceover actors in there. Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny, getting a chance to rock one of the main characters in the game, which was a beautiful surprise for me too. Getting the chance to see y'all collaborate in the ways you got a chance to do. What is the collaboration kind of brought to the table for this game too? Because it feels like you have gotten a chance to expand the things that you have purview over in a way that I'm sure for you as an artist feels really, really good too, right?
Yeah, no, collaboration is weird for me because I'm used to kind of just being out there by myself. But seeing like Blessing play the game and how excited he was to talk about the game, he featured the game in a couple of like his breakdowns or whatever, and I appreciated it so much. And then Black Crystal, who voices Karmic, me and Dan, who did this music, we were just like on Twitch one night or whatever, and Dan sent me this link, and we opened up and she was streaming the game, and she was just so excited to play, and she understood the whole story just kind of like by what little we kind of put out there. I reached out to her immediately. I was like, yo, do you want to voice this new character that I have in mind or whatever? And I kind of told her the concept, and she was 100% down. So like collaboration wise, I only kind of reached out to people who were excited about the game and understood what I was trying to do. Even Beta Jester, it's a London-based studio, mostly white people. It was real interesting to see them kind of understand Adam specifically. He just like, I got it. I know what you're trying to do. And it's really great. And, me and him were just like trying to onboard everybody else and be like, no, this is the concept. Just, kind of stick to it. And people were like really hesitant. They was like, I don't know, like 2 characters. This is weird or whatever. And then as we kind of got through it, we was like, all right, just do it. Right. Just do what we tell you to. And then like, if it doesn't click in like a month, just, we'll revisit it. Right. So like as people was like working and just kind of blindlessly kind of doing like what we told them to, they was like, oh, we got it now. And it's really interesting to kind of see that transition. So collaboration was a great kind of just like working with people and like selling them on the concept, but we didn't have a good reference point to be like, oh, it's just like this. Our closest thing was like Sonic Adventures. And we were like, especially with the music, we went from like jazzy hip hop, and like the last level of the first game was orchestral hip hop. And we was like, now we're using that song as a jumping off point into this new soundtrack where we introduce rock and all these other concepts as well.
Yeah, it feels like a this is the culture moment, right? And I love the fact that both the games feel like this. They're talking to each other in an interesting way, not only thematically but artistically and musically. They all kind of like, this is the full gamut of what this universe can be, and also like what parts of the culture you really are attaching yourselves to. And again, it's like you've had 3 years in terms of growth as a human being, right? Like things change in the times that between that development period and those learning periods. And it feels like, you let me know, like, tell me, does it also feel like, you've grown a ton within the time frame of making these two games, just like personally. How's that been?
Yeah, I think I've grown in like I said before, the sense of being able to let go and not be so stressed about things and just be like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do this, right?
Mm,
Like the first game proved to myself that I can, that it can be done. I think it proved to a lot of people, you don't need everything to kind of make something, right?
yeah.
Even though, looking at, you compared the two games, it's like a lot different, I didn't have so much time to like focus on like the best art or UI or whatever. But all those things, all the comments that people made, I kind of use it as feedback to kind of make this game better. I was like, let me make the version that people were expecting with the first game.
Yeah, I dig that. I dig that. Um, how has the space changed in the past couple of years? The indie space. It feels like we see a lot of conversations around the overarching and larger discussion about like where is development kind of landing. We've seen so many layoffs across big studios,
Yeah.
small studios, everybody. Does it feel like the indie space is still moving in a really positive direction? Does it feel like you know it is still kind of holding up the industry in the ways that we've always seen it, because you can't have big super mega titles all the time. So you have these kind of smaller games kind of, ushering us through each year and kind of giving us really dope experiences of play. What are your thoughts been about the kind of current state of the indie space?
I think the whole industry, we had this like balance, right? Gamers supported developers, developers were feeding into and supporting like the platforms and the publishers, and publishers kind of reached back around to like gamers. So there was just like this nice balanced loop. But there's been like a lot of things kind of added in now where uh, publishers and third parties are like, hey, these developers, they're the problem, right?
Mm,
And the developers are like, hey, the way the industry is going right now, it's really hard to make games. We're not making enough money. And we're like raising the red flag to say, hey, if you want these indie games to exist, you need to support them. Look at what just happened to Hi-Fi Rush.
mm,
Everybody came out and supported when it was way too late, so I always kind of try to like raise the flag and say, hey, if you want different games, if you want to keep that kind of trend and tradition of like these high quality smaller games coming out, you got to go out and support them. We spend more on a Fortnite skin than we do like three indie games that cost like
mm-hmm,
$5.
mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, game of the year is irrelevant because your favorite game of the year is probably some little game that came out on itch for free that you never played because it didn't get marketed, and that concept is probably going to get ripped off by some AAA studio trying to add it in as like a little like extra bonus mini game or something like that.
Mm.
So yeah, I think the industry is headed in a weird direction right now. I think we should listen to developers more, not just me. Just like, go online, follow developers, support developers individually. If you have a favorite game, if you have a favorite character, find out who did the concept art or drew that character, made up the concept or that story, and follow them. Don't follow the publishers or the platforms who have nothing to do with the creative stuff that you love.
Yeah.
And that's how we make the game industry better.
Yeah. I love that answer. That's a perfect answer. I want to end it on that, but I had one more question for you because
No, go for it. Yeah.
I think it's really cool too to see, you know, development across the world is always all over the place. I think a lot of people still think of the pockets, and mostly on the kind of in the U.S. on the West Coast as being like the major hubs for stuff, and then also kind of like Texas, Austin, all those places. But I think you and a couple other folks have put Detroit on the map when it comes to the development space, and it was really cool to see.
No, just me. It's just me.
You know what? Neil has put Detroit on the map. You said it. I'm gonna let you claim it. And you claiming it. But it's been really cool to like. I follow you on social media and all that stuff. But it was really nice to even see. Even a couple days ago, prior to us recording this, you being in a space where you're kind of connecting back with the city. The mayor of Detroit, it seems like, was at the event. A lot of kids. I see you signing We Never Year posters for the kids and stuff.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was cool though. It was so dope because it's like now you've kind of transcended into even a mentor-ish space. I know you've done some of that across some activations beforehand, but does it feel like you now get a chance to also be one of those folks to be like, hey, y'all, you can do this too. You don't have to be in any of those places. How does that feel as well, to kind of be a person who folks are looking to be like, hey, Neil, like you can be a beacon of hope for other people in that way?
That's a lot.
That was a very grandiose thing to say, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, the representation part matters, right?
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of amazing people in Detroit. Like, I often tell the story of me and Dan, how we were working like regular jobs, and like I was working 2 retail jobs, didn't get an opportunity to the game industry. Like, if you look at the work that I've done, all the stuff that I've done, the game industry knows how good I was and still said I wasn't good enough, right? You listen to Dan's he has 2 soundtracks out. We got a record deal, 2 soundtracks. They're on Spotify. Everybody's favorite part of the game is the music. He couldn't find a job for 10 years. We looked, and that's coming just straight out of Detroit. We have so many amazing people in Detroit, in the city, and there's a lot of cities where there's amazing people, but all these people get ignored by the game industry and don't get opportunities for various reasons. So I think I'm just kind of trying to, like, when you got the juice, you got to make sure other people get the juice too, right? You got to make sure other people have a chance to that you never got, to kind of get up there, right? To have an opportunity. And I really kind of made this launch event. It was Detroit's largest ever launch event.
Wow.
We had over 1,000 people. The mayor showed up, like you said. A Supreme Court justice showed up. We had the game set up. One little girl, because we were giving away posters, she said, hey, can you sign my poster? And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then a line of kids just lined up with their posters and just wanted me to sign. And I was there for like 20 minutes. And it was super weird because we were just like trying to give away stuff. You know, we even we found this young kid who wants to be a game developer, and he has to share his console with his dad, and he was real annoyed by it. So it was like, hey, here's an Xbox, you know, because you can't be a game developer if you don't have your own like games and your own console, right? So we're just trying to set people up for success. And I really, I think I'm not going to be the person to, like, at the end of the day, be that giant figure who kind of breaks all the barriers, but the least I can do is kind of like make a opening or clear a path for that person who's going to do that thing.
Yeah, I love that, man, and I think that's a perfect way to end our conversation for now, because I'm sure, you know, we are going to have multiple conversations over the next years whenever you make your next game. But yeah, I have to say, man, from a personal perspective, it has always been so dope to see you pushing, man. Like, every time I get a chance to see you at an event, it's like, yo, what up, fam? You're like, yo, what up, fam? How you doing? Like, how are things?
We take a second, we look around, we like, we here. They didn't want us here,
right?
But we here now,
right? I love that, man. Like, again, it makes me so proud of you, and getting a chance to see you continue to grow and have success, and be a person who gets to represent in the ways that you feel comfortable doing, and it never feels like you are not in the element and not in the moment. It feels like you're absorbing all of it and understanding exactly the position you want to play, and you play it.
I just appreciate everybody.
Yeah,
like anytime anybody wants to talk to me about video games, hey, I appreciate it. Like, yo, because you know what are we doing? We get to make video games and we get to talk about them. This is crazy,
right? It's pretty damn dope. It's pretty dope. Everybody, give Neil a bunch of your love. Please go make sure to check out We Never Yield. Tell everybody where they can go play it.
Okay, you can play it on Steam, Epic Game Store, Xbox, coming out soon to PlayStation. Please leave a review. For the love of God, wish list and review. Y'all don't understand how much those things matter, right? It pushes people up so that other people can up, so that it gets views and whatever. Like, however you feel about my game, please help a brother out. I'm begging.
Help a brother out. I'm raising my hand too, to be like, if you ever need another VO artist and you want somebody to come through, I'm gonna raise my hand and be like, yo, I'm down. If you needed a body to throw into the booth,
I might have something for you. I'm all right. My one day, I know we at the end of it, but one day I just want to like make this crazy team of black people to make one giant game and be like, look at all these hitters we got in this game and who worked on the game behind the scenes. But that's another conversation.
Another conversation. that means you spoke it. So that means it's gonna happen. So we're gonna wind up making it happen
one day.
Everybody, give Neil some love. We're gonna go and get a quick break. We'll be right back with more Spawn and Me after this. Yo, can we give Neil some love? Can we give him some more love in the chat? Give him more love if you're out listening to the show and you just were so enthralled with what Neil was talking about the indie space. Go leave We Never Yield a review. Let them know how the game is going, how things are rocking and making all those things fantastic. Like I said, this is the reason why you tune in to Spawn on Me, because you get really great conversations like these. We're going to take a quick break. Going to drop 2 quick commercials, and then we'll be right back after this. Hey everybody, Khalif here from the Spawn on Me podcast. Hey, we have been in the market for new PCs for a long time, and for our 10th year anniversary, the wonderful folks from NZXT have partnered with us in a collab to be our hardware sponsors. So, if you are looking for a new PC to stream or to game in the best way possible, go check out nzxt.co/spawnonmebld, and you'll be able to find a perfect PC for you, whether that be the Player 1 machine, Player 2 machine, or Player 3 machine. The ones that we're rocking for our new studio build. They have everything you possibly could need for the best PC experience on the planet. Remember to go check out nzxt.co/spawnonmebld, and it will get you set up right. Much love and peace.
Hey there, my name is Naomi, and you might know me from internet things like hosting for IGN. I'd like to introduce you to my new show, This Week in Gaming. It's 20 minutes, short and sweet, and every week I go through all the important gaming news that you need to know, and then we have folks on like Khalif Adams, who shows up quite often, talk about all the important news. And you get to listen to it wherever you get your podcast, so it's easy to find. Just look for This Week in Gaming and make sure to give it a follow. And every week, Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific time, you get a brand new episode. I hope you'll join me.
To a gift. Well, a couple gifts.
Oh, good. That's good.
I'll show you, another gift. I'll show you, the second gift a little bit later. Okay. But I did get you a gift, and I got you this gift because, look, you are, I feel like you constantly get beat on, but you're so strong, and you just, like I said, you live for the people, and you're a hero. I wanna present to you this gift right here. I hope you like watches, Rolexes.
Wow. Oh, that's a beautiful watch.
Yeah.
Should I open it?
You should open it, and then show the camera.
That's a great watch, actually. Good company. They're good company.
You like Rolex?
They like Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player and Arnold Palmer and all the golf guys and all the other guys, too. I do. This is beautiful. Wow. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Don't they have nice packaging, though?
They do. Really, really nice.
Wow, that's so nice. Oh, should I show that to the audience?
Yeah, they can see it.
Oh, I didn't know this. Now I know it's worth it. Wow. Well, my boys said, well, that's such a big show. I don't know what you're doing, but you really are respected. Amazing. I mean,
I appreciate it.
I go into other shows, nobody does a big deal about it.
So what you just heard was a interview from Adin Ross. If you're not familiar with Adin Ross is a pedophile, a lover. He platforms pedophiles. He sniffs their chairs. He is functionally illiterate, and he is a multi-millionaire streamer on Kick. It is amazing to have seen the biggest hot tour moment in the content creation space around Donald Trump in this past week. And it was really wild to see, just how this whole thing has kind of come to fruition. I think one of the things that I really took away from this moment was it is really wild to see someone totally lose any credibility that they even might have had because they are not only a person who would sniff the chair of an Andrew Tate, also a person who literally can't read, while also being a person who is sucking up to a convicted felon in former President Donald Trump, and doing it in a space where you not only show the classlessness that you have as a creator, but also the stupidity of giving a person who is running a financial campaign 2 gifts, which are definitely over the FEC's amount of money that you can contribute or give a gift to anyone who is in a position who is running a campaign, of not only a Rolex watch, but also a Trump-themed Cybertruck that he then later gave to Donald Trump after his appearance on his stream. It was one of the weirdest things I've seen in a long time. You have Adin Ross and you have XQC, 2 content creators who are the least knowledgeable about political anything that I have seen in my 10 years of doing this kind of work. It is rare to see 2 people give the booty up to a former criminal or a current criminal while also platforming and giving love to so many other criminal elements that they have done over their combined careers. XQC, professional screamer, Adin Ross, professional chair sniffer and pedophile aficionado, is doing this kind of work in this space. What I will say is this. I think why this is even on the show this week is because, of course, you know, Kick being the platform not only Adin Ross and gave him a big bag due to the money that they are pulling in from Stake, which is a gambling website. But it's also interesting to see, again, what does this mean in the larger conversation for what they were potentially trying to do from both ends? Adin Ross is a clout chaser. Trump is also a clout chaser in his own way. But also, this was supposed to do the thing that we are seeing in the space for the current political landscape and the now Harris-Walz contingent on the Democrat side, while Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are on the Republican side for the, you know, the election that's coming up in November for the USA's presidential seat. This is supposed to be a play for the youth vote. This is supposed to be a play for the vote for folks who are, you know, in that age demographic that would probably be viewers of Adin Ross's content. But what makes it weird is that you can see through all of it really easily. You've seen the way that Adin Ross continues to do his work. You see the way that Trump continues to play every angle that he possibly can to seem, 1, sentient, 2, to seem like he gets it with the kids, which is not a thing, because we know that most people who are voting for, you know, either candidate are much older, and even in the youth vote, those folks probably aren't listening to Adin Ross's content. It is one of those moves where you see what is the end result supposed to be, while also seeing all the facade in 4K while you see it happen. During this entire hour almost interview, you saw a lot of sucking up from Adin Ross. You saw him jump into a conversation and say a whole bunch of things that is supposedly supposed to show that he has some understanding of political thought and understanding of political language, which you can see he did the dumbest doe-eyed, glassy-eyed winks and nods that we've seen in a long time, even if he does hold the position that he espoused many, many times online, or at least in this stream, of how much he loves Trump, how dope he thinks Trump is, how he really hopes that he wins the election, and all of those things. We've not seen anything from Adin Ross in his career that would lend to anybody of any reason believing him. XQC rocking a Trump shirt with Trump with grills on to kind of also, you know, suck up to the former president. Also very weird. In a space where streamers still have the rule of no politics in my streams, because we don't want to get in trouble, because then you have to think about what you're actually trying to tell to your audience. It was extremely weird to see this particular ensemble get together and have Adin Ross doing his Trump dance with Trump, which also has this mannerism, if you're watching us on Spotify or YouTube, which is also a very interesting thing because it fits exactly what was happening there. There was a lot of something or other happening in the ways that those conversations were going, and that was just a very weird moment in the video game industry and in the entertainment industry as a whole. I do hope that when we get a chance to see something like this, because now that he's opened himself up to FEC, people watching him now, which again, no forethought in the ability to be like, let me give you this really expensive gift, knowing that the feds will potentially go and check this, which now he has to give back. Trump has to give back all those gifts that he gave, that was given to him by Adin, because he doesn't want to, lose his campaign over something as stupid as taking a gift on Front Street publicly from an idiot. But now it backfires on him, because now, at least on Adin's side, now you have all this extra level of scrutiny that comes to you, where all the dumb stuff you've been doing over the past 5 years or so, all of that stuff gets leveled up. Now people have a spotlight on you to be like, oh, is Adin Ross going to do something else that's really even dumber than that? And now he has gone after Hassan Piker to go and put up $1 million, I guess, bounty to find dirt on him, because Hassan brought up the fact that he almost violated campaign finance laws, or he did violate campaign finance laws. I have to tell y'all, man, like, it is amazing to see how dumb these cats are. Like, it's also dumb to see how badly, and we see this across a lot of the largest streamers right now, not the ones who are the kind of more seasoned and older. Like, I don't see Dr. Lupo getting into a problem like this. I don't see like Professor Broman getting into a problem like this. I don't see like Gathalion getting into a problem like this, because they're grown, they're adults, they've had actual jobs, and they have families, and they pay attention to their images, and they understand to have good people behind them who will not advise them to do a stupid ass thing like this. When you have dumb teams backing up dumb ideas, this is the stuff that you get. Even if you got a whole bunch of visibility in terms of being in the room with Trump, and also being a person who is, if you're advocating for him to be the next president, there are lots of different ways to be able to do that. What he could have done as a person who is a multi-millionaire, if he wanted to do something that was actually useful to his campaign, he shouldn't have done this. He could have been a silent contributor. Or he could have been a vocal contributor and be like, I'm supporting Donald Trump. I'm throwing $1 million at his campaign. That looks like a good clout grab, because then you're like, I got money and I have power and I have influence. That's different than being like, I bought you a shitty looking Cybertruck and a Rolex watch, which you probably have 10 to 15 of anyway, to make you look like you have a flex, when it's like dumb people with dumb money get to do dumb things. It is such a dumb and stupid idea that resonates with no one who gives a crap, and also doesn't do any good for anybody involved. It's such a silly maneuver to have gotten this to be in this space, and also tells you a lot about the political discourse space that we currently are in, because it just winds up being something that just makes entirely no sense. So this was a moment early last week that really just like broke me. I was like, I don't understand why you are trying to make this the thing that you're doing outside of the clout space, in a very fully throated ability to kind of get that campaign announcement and alignment together. So I was like, man, wow, the youth are not that smart. I want y'all to be smarter about the way you kind of do this stuff. But Adin Ross, who can't read, who sniffs chairs of pedophiles, and also breaks finance campaign rules, is an idiot. I just had to say that and put that on the record, because that's extremely stupid. Anyway, our next story is something sad, because it winds up being another testament to corporations and capitalism breaking things that it doesn't need to break. And it just sucks, because Game Informer announced last week that they are now closing. They're going under. You have an amazing team of folks who have been in there. And I think one of the things that has been a huge part of the conversation for what does this mean is Game Informer was basically the last bastion of what you would think of as a fantastically done print magazine. They would break a ton of first stories on some of the biggest games on the planet. And I would say in general, their work was some of the most polished stuff we'd seen in the video game space because they had this legacy of over 30 years of doing this fantastic work. So people really understood the value of trying to get a front page, full cover on Game Informer. And their video team was really kicking ass when it was in its heyday. And most recently, they were doing the best kind of work that we've seen in the space in a very long time. So Game Informer then changes in its disappearance. Now, what does that mean for the video game industry in these ways? We see lots of folks on the development side losing their jobs, but we've also seen a ton of outfits on the media side lose their funding, lose their ability to kind of, keep themselves afloat, and a lot of closures. We saw Fanbyte close. We see Game Informer close. We're seeing some issues happen right now at Second Wind, which is a newer outfit from a lot of folks who were pretty escapist. We're seeing a lot of vibes moving in a space where it's not really good for what media means. And, the idea of independent media is fantastic, right? You have Aftermath kind of coming through, MinMax. Those are all crowdfunded. Spawn on Me, we've not gone crowdfunded yet. It's been a thing that I've been thinking about because, you have to sustain doing this work and there's some financial costs that go along with that. Traveling to shows, going and trying to get bigger, having dreams for what it would be like to hire a couple other folks to be able to do, video work for us and help us with some other stuff, even some more on-screen talent. Being able to pay those folks would be really, really cool. And that's outside of Spawnies. That has nothing to do with that. So independent media, we see the YouTube space, which is extremely toxic. There are very few people in that place who are doing really good work. And even the ones who are there, they're also kind of being fed through Patreon. So Game Informer's closure is a real big blow to the industry. I think it is something that we will not see the full repercussions and ramifications for a long time. But it does bring into question, what does this mean? And what does this mean for a lot of folks who are trying to do really good, smart work in an industry that is quickly removing, and not even just removing, but like nuking people's work. Game Informer and GameStop, right after an announcement of the outfit closing, shut down all of their stuff. They closed the website. They turned off some of their social media channels. Some of those I still don't think are back up. So if you had an archive of work that was there, you had done so much work over many, many years, all of your work is gone. I know I had a piece or two on Game Informer. I know that all of the video content is probably gone at this point. There are so many backlinks to stuff that people had on Game Informer. And to be fair, Game Informer's pedigree as a house where you would learn your chops and then go on to make other stuff is profound. There are so many people who came through Game Informer who are now some of the most trusted names in gaming. The names are countless at this point. So to lose what was one of the best options for really smart journalism is a huge blow for the gaming industry. And I just don't know what happens now if a company that was backed by GameStop decides that they no longer want to be able to be in the media game and doing the work like they're doing right now. It is a very dark day for that to have happened. And massive love to all the folks who are making something happen after this. We know Alex Van Aken, one of the main people behind the video layers of Game Informer, is now doing a solo project called Viewport or Viewpoint, or I think it's Viewport. And that, is going crowdfunded, and it's going to be really, really good because I know how good Van Aken is. So excited for that. You've seen folks who are in other spaces who have done this work before and move on to bigger careers. OK Beast closed and Blessing Out Area Jr. then went to Kind of Funny. Lots of people are moving to try to keep their voices in the mix. And Game Informer being lost to greed is a very terrible and sucky thing. It sucks for that to be in the case, for sure. Last news story for this episode is all about Black Ops 6. We got a ton of great information from a preview that went live. The video that you're seeing currently is IGN's preview that was written and voiced over by Paris Lilly, who did a fantastic job on his first IGN video preview. So give Paris a ton of love there. I love what I'm seeing from the conversation around Black Ops 6. I'm very excited. I watched a couple of the pieces of the leaked footage that was on Twitter and X a couple of days ago, and although we're not going to report on the leaks, it was really cool to see some of the stuff that's coming and what that means for the future. I still am looking to see if there are ways that we can do more work with Activision. I think I'm so excited about what the future of Black Ops is going to wind up being. But I think what we got a chance to see in Zombies, which was the thing that most people got a chance to play, was this feels like they are taking a lot of the small pieces of asks and hopes for what people wanted out of Zombies, saving progression, being able to kind of almost have drop in, drop out, having the landscape be kind of anything you can see, you can go to in the mix. I, as a person who loves playing Zombies and has been looking for more people to play Zombies with, am very excited for what this is going to wind up being. Even though from a technical perspective and a technical advancement perspective, one of the things that's been really cool is just to seeing how the different lighting passes that this game has gotten. Like, this game looks next gen. And I think now we're in that moment where Black Ops 6 becomes this game that we have heard about a lot and we're excited for what it could potentially be, but now getting a chance to see it run and seeing people really enjoy it and people be excited for it, that changes that conversation. And nevertheless, now knowing that you'll be able to play that game, especially if you're on Xbox, in Game Pass with all these additions for it, man, I mean, that's a big, again, it's a big get for Microsoft. I don't know what the money will turn out to be. I don't know what that means for other people when they're thinking about what the, additions to the games are gonna be. But if you're gonna get the full gambit of what Black Ops 6 is gonna be, campaign, Warzone, zombies, multiplayer, all of that in a Game Pass subscription, that's still a huge win. Like, I still think that that's going to be really dope to be like, I got my subscription. All I got to do is download this. A game that is, going to be one of the biggest games of the year. I mean, I am just very hyped for what this is going to wind up being. So if you want to go check out more information about Black Ops 6, go check out Paris's preview on IGN. Go check out some of the content that's on there, because I know GameSpot did a piece, I know IGN did a piece, and YouTube has gotten a couple of really good pieces there too. On the YouTube video for this, a lot of people are digging the content and especially digging Paris's preview. So give him some love, give the team from IGN some love, and we're not that far away from what this game is going to be and when it's going to come out. So very excited for what that's going to be. COD Next should be the next thing that we see out of Call of Duty. So we'll see a lot of new additions to the multiplayer and Warzone in that when that kind of showcase happens very, very soon. So Black Ops is moving in a very, very, very cool direction. So with that said, I want to talk to you about something that I've been playing that I've been very hyped about. And you know what that means? We got to go check out what we've been playing. The first and only what we've been playing for this week has been 2XKO from Riot. If you know me, you know I'm a huge fighting game fan. I got the chance to see this game in super, super early development when I worked at Riot. And now we're in our alpha stage, and this game is good. When I say that this game is fire, they are doing some really smart and interesting things with not only their IP, but they are listening to fans, and they are listening to fans in a big way. I think this game is going to definitely take a spot from some game at EVO. I think this game is going to be one of the best things that has come out this year when it winds up coming out, hopefully this year. I've been playing a ton of it. I just literally played with the fam, Saki Sakura, and hanging out with them and playing some tag in this game, which is a very different feel for a game if you're used to playing any fighting game solo. This game, you can play a tag game while you're controlling two characters, or you can basically split the team, and each one of your individual people that you have playing can play a character, swap in and out on the fly, and continue combos, continue the onslaught of defeating whoever the opponent may be. I am saying this is going to be one of the best games in the fighting game space, and Riot has nothing but upside for this game. This, like, the synergy that you can have between characters feels so flashy. Like, I'm a big MK1 fan, and cameos are just different. Cameos feel like assists that come in and do very specific things and extend the combos. This feels like MVS C2 in that way, or Infinite, or a game where actual assists are happening, where if your character is coming in to help and they get hit, your character is taking damage. You're swapping characters out in the middle of a fight so that you're saving the first character who's up front so that they can regain some health. Being able to combo off each other, being able to double stack your specials adds so many different layers to the gameplay. And I was playing a bunch, and this is some gameplay from me just playing and testing some stuff out. Man, this game is good. This game is so fantastic. It is very, very good. I am so excited for getting better on this game and learning what it's going to wind up being like. I'm starting to understand and feel like I'm grasping the concepts. I love the fact that there's these different levels of assists while also giving you other ways to play. We saw in Street Fighter 6 a kind of modified version, what they call modern controls, which is kind of keeping your inputs down to one button. It's kind of making those things a combo machine of, like, you just get to tap a button and cool things happen. Yeah, that's great for new players. That's also great for folks who don't want to learn all the intricacies of what it means to kind of really dig into a character's moveset. And you can still mash your way to a ton of wins if you want to. But if you don't want to do that, there are so many other options in the ways that you can play and get all of those things together. One of the coolest lobby systems I've seen in the game in a while. Feels a lot like Tekken, where you're kind of walking up to arcades in this kind of larger room, or Street Fighter 6. But it's really well done. Like, this game is extremely fun. I'm very excited for where this is going to go. And, I'll be playing some on stream, hopefully soon. I'm getting in the lab first so I don't look like a trash bag while I play. But, learning these characters and learning how to be, better and understand the systems while I'm playing it, man, this game is fun. I'm dying to get more in that mode, in that game. Riot, knowing that they have all of these League of Legends characters to be able to pull from, I'm just like, oh crap, who's going to be next? What's the roster going to look like? What are their movesets going to be? What things are going to pull from the MOBA that's going to really translate super well to the characters that are in this game? The sky is the limit for 2XKO, as long as they can figure that out. And hopefully we'll get a different name for the game, because 2XKO, there's a lot of already marketed things that are there, and I don't think they would necessarily change. But, this game is going to be a banger in a huge way. Before we get up out of here, I wanted to do something and bring back a quick moment for a segment that we have not done in a very long time, to give some love to some friends who are also leaving the media space. And let's get to that right now. So, we have our wonderful friends over at What's Good Games who announced this week or late last week or over the weekend that they are closing up shop after being in the space since 2017 and bringing together one of the baddest crews on the planet. You know, when I got a chance to first check out What's Good Games, I was a big fan of all the folks who were in the mix. You know, the original crew, which was Andrea Renee, Brittany Brombacher, Christine Steimer, and Alexa Ray Carrera, you know, coming to the video game space. I had known all of them for a long time, and at least had known of their work for a long time. And then once the team got smaller, you know, Christine went to go work on some video games. Alexa also went to go work in the development space. You know, they were down a couple of folks, and then they brought on Rihanna Manuel Pena to fill out the cast, and I think it really did add something extremely special to what the video game space was going to be. I do want to share their statement really quickly and share what they were talking about on their show, because I think, you know, it's very important to be able to, you know, give them the love that they deserve. And, you know, it kind of makes me sad, because it winds up being one of those things where, you know, when you have a team like this that has been out for so long, you know, saying goodbye is really hard. So they left a message on Twitter and on their social medias that says, with a mix of gratitude and heavy hearts, we'll soon be saying what's good, everybody, for the final time. After 7 years and over 375 episodes of video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff, it is time for us to backflip off the earth. Since day one, you have been the heartbeat of our community. Your engagement, support, and constant enthusiasm have made every episode a joy to create. We've explored the gaming universe together, celebrated industry milestones, and shared our passions in a way that's been nothing short of magical. I just want to thank all of our husbandos and waifus we've discussed over the years. And for our last round of shenanigans, we're reminiscing about our funniest moments and diving into our favorite clips to celebrate the amazing journey we've all shared. Our series finale episode will be published on September 27th, 2024. So stay tuned for some more final surprises, and we'll have even more details to share during our regularly scheduled episodes over the coming weeks. But for now, keep your controllers close and your spirits high. Thank you for being a part of our podcast family. Whether you're a subscriber, a listener, a viewer, a guest, a collaborator, a 5-star reviewer, or even maybe just came in for the silly streams. We are so proud of what we created and contributed to this industry, and we couldn't have done it without you. It is, as a content creator, you really do forget how tenuous all of this is. First off, I have to say, this crew is one of the smartest crews in gaming. One of the things I really love about this is that it is very rare to see an all-woman crew come into a space, kick ass, and continue to do it for such a long time, and really be a space for camaraderie for a lot of women, to showcase the beautiful contributions that women have made to the video game space, to always hear really great perspectives through that prism and through that layer, while also just being a solid team. The expectation is always there, but the execution has always been top notch from What's Good Games. Some of the funniest women on the planet. I love them dearly. It made me happy to see them every week, and it was so cool to be able to be able to peek in from time to time and just see where things were going, where things were happening. There are very few shows that had an all-woman roster that lasted as long as they did. Not Your Mama's Gamer is probably one of the first shows. They even predate us by like a couple of months or maybe even a year. So they're like 10 plus years in. You know, a game of this caliber with this amount of folks and this star power is very rare. And each one of their individual personalities meshed so well together. That is extremely hard to do. That is not easy. It makes that show shine in every episode that they did. Even on days where they were just like, you know, there's not enough stuff here, they would pull a fantastic show out and be able to talk about everything brilliantly and be able to showcase their skills and be able to have fun with all of it. You know, Britt is my chaos homie. I love her to death. Whenever we see each other, we just give each other shit. Shit is our love language, and we give each other the most shit. Steimer was always super fun to hang around with because she just always has this super dry, amazing wit that was always fantastic. Rhea, you know Rhea's family. You know how we get down when we rock. And before we go, I do want to say I have to give very special flowers to Andrea Renee. Without Andrea Renee's work, I wouldn't be in this industry. Andrea, I came to know her through stuff that she had done at GameStop, through the work that she had done in so many different places and avenues in the video game industry. But I really became a fan of hers on Weekend Confirmed. Weekend Confirmed was a podcast that I used to listen to. That was Andrea Renee, Christian Spicer, Jeff Kanata, a bunch of other folks in that space, and they would all come together. Jeff Matos, all come together and have this really smart conversation around games. And Andrea's voice always punched through. Andrea's voice always was the thing that I would kind of really look forward to because it was so nice to have that other perspective in the video game landscape. Andrea has the moniker of the hardest working woman in show business. And it's true. Like, Andrea is a savvy, brilliant businesswoman. She has a ton of fantastic insights about the production layers of what a video game show can be. You saw a lot of that in the broadcasts and the set, which she came to fruition with and really designed and thought about all the different layers and shots, and was a person who was running the boards when all of those shows were happening. It gives me nothing but kudos and love for Andrea as first as a fan, and later on as a peer, and then even more importantly as a friend, because it is rare to have people that you look up to be as dope as you hope that they would be. They say don't meet your heroes, but Andrea's a hero of mine. And it makes me sad to know that they're going away, but it makes me happy to know that the legacy of What's Good Games will never go away. One of the highest and highly rated podcasts in the world. They were constantly in the top 250 on Apple Podcasts, constantly, lauded with great work and fantastic opportunities. And you need someone at the helm who understands the ability to continue to put smart work out in the world. So before we get up out of here for this episode, I want to give them flowers and give them the love that they deserve. I want to give them all a big shout of happy trails. I'm sure we'll see them at PAX and hang out, and they're lifelong friends, so that never goes away. I'll be sure to bring the oatmeal cookies, and they'll throw them in the garbage. But I just want to say that the lineage and the legacy that What's Good Games has made, if you think about all of the content that you consume, they are one of the best crews on the planet. And it's a sad day that we're losing them for now. And I hope that they continue to figure out good ways to make really dope stuff on the planet, because I love them dearly and they deserve all the flowers that they can get. So much love to our friends over What's Good Games. We will see you in the podcast streets. You always have a place here on Spawn and Me to come rock and hang. And all the folks who are here, who are fans of Spawn on Me, I'm sure you know that we have all crossed paths and that we're all here in this together. So please, please, please share this episode. Please share their work. They have more stuff that's coming into the can. We still have a couple of weeks left of their work until September 27th. So please, please, please think about supporting independent content and media. Think about supporting teams who are trying to do something different. Think about supporting folks who are trying to do smart work, and find good ways to lift them up, support them financially, support them with your words, and find good ways to keep them salient and viable in a space where the industry is closing in on itself often and fast. So give them some love and give them all the love that they deserve. We're up out of here for episode 520. Massive love to all of the folks who have been watching and hanging out with us here on X, YouTube, and Twitch. Our next show will be a little bit later in the week. We're recording this on a Sunday, so this will drop tomorrow on Monday. We'll have a regularly scheduled show on Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And we have new stuff coming up because PAX is coming up soon. A couple of other preview things are dropping as well. So please make sure you're checking out all the stuff on all the Spawn on Me channels and platforms. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you may find it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. And please, if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you're following the show so that you don't lose the subscription to us there. And until next week, much love to you all. Wash your hands, wash your butt. Be good to each other. Have some fun. And we'll see you all on the other side. Much love. Peace. Yo, chat. Yo, chat. Yo. Hey. Hey. We're about to get up out of here. Shout out to the almost 1,000 people who viewed us on X. Shout out to everybody who's rocking. As I'm like, don't eat Paris's food on your endings. Yeah, that would be too easy. Have a wonderful week. If you want to get some games in on Predecessor or 2XKO before the alpha drops, let me know. Please, 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 again, share the show. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Much love to you all. Have a great night. Peace.